from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the ChannelEye Rupavahini Corporation. We are ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I am Charita Vinipurarachi, together with Hesha Inali. President emphasizes that public officials should never give reasons for failure to perform public duties. Importers are alleged for creating a mafia to increase the cement prices. Egg producers reject the newly revised prices for eggs. A new gazette notification amending the retirement age of doctors. Foreign Minister says the government is expecting to obtain loan facilities from multilateral agencies. $55 billion from USA as assistance to the African region.
Moving on to news in detail, and the top story for today is State Minister Shehan Semasinga says that the loan facility from the International Monetary Fund will be postponed until the next year due to the delays occurred in exchanging relevant information to the global lending institutions.
Minister Ali Sabri Bindwal said that the government of Sri Lanka is expected to obtain the loan facilities from the multilateral agencies besides the International Monetary Fund loan facility. State Minister Shehan Semasinga said that the government is continuing to receive financial assurance from bilateral lenders. He also said that the government made attempts to obtain the final approval from the IMF by December. However, he said that amid successful negotiations with bilateral partners, the government has been unsuccessful in obtaining financial assurance within the official channels. He said that the government is expected to complete the process and exchange information with the IMF by the beginning of next year. He pointed out that this is not a decision taken by the IMF to abstain from providing the extended fund facility. He said that the necessary financial assurance will be obtained following the completion of the ongoing negotiations.
අදාළ කරුණු සම්පූර්ණ කිරීම තමයි අපිට අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. රජයේ නිලධාරීන් සහ ණයහිමියන්ගේ පාර්ශවයන්ගෙන් සිදු කරන මේ සාකච්ඡා එක්ක අපිට ඒ අවශ්‍ය ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් assurances ලබා ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා.
Citing IMF sources, Reuters news agency yesterday reported that the extended fund facility from the International Monetary Fund may not be provided to Sri Lanka during this year. In an exclusive interview with the Reuters news agency, the minister also said that Sri Lanka is expecting loans up to $5 billion next year from multilateral agencies beside a deal with the International Monetary Fund. The minister has further said that the government could raise up $3 billion through the restructuring of state assets, which would strengthen the country's treasury and reserves.
Moving on to the next story, Department of Census and Statistics says Sri Lanka's gross domestic product has contracted by 11.8% in the third quarter of 2022. Releasing the national accounts estimates, the department further said that the GDP contracted by 8.4% in the second quarter. The gross domestic product for the third quarter of year 2022 at the current price reported as over 6.4 million rupees. The gross domestic product for the third quarter of year 2022 at constant price in 2015 reported as 2.8 million rupees. This expansion of the GDP at current prices indicates the influence of the high inflation prevailed throughout the quarter. In the third quarter of year 2022, the percentage change of current price GDP reported as 45.2% and the year-on-year GDP growth rate reported as negative 11.8%. The overall agriculture industry and services activities declined by 8.7%, 21.2% and 2.6% respectively in the third quarter of 2022. Director General of Election Commission Saman Priyaratnayaka says necessary measures to conduct the local government elections before March 19th have already been undertaken.
However, Chairman of the Elimination Commission Mahinda Deshapriya said that if the elimination measures are undertaken, the elections may postpone by 6 months. He made these remarks following a ceremony held today. Director General of Elections Commission Saman Priratnayaka said that the measures to publish a gazette related to the elections before March 19th is currently underway. He said that the Elections Commission had issued a media release citing that the relevant notice will be issued in the last week of December. He said that they were able to conduct the election during this period. The DG said that the necessary measures will be taken within the provisions of the Act and they are expecting to complete all necessary measures during the stipulated period. While responding to a query raised by a journalist, the Director General said that they are legally obtained to conduct the elections before the stipulated period. Chairman of the Elimination Commission Mahinda Deshapriya said that the Elections Commission has already declared that an election will be conducted for the local governments. Accordingly, he said that the pace for the commission process will slow down following issuance of the notice, and he added that if the commission remains the processes as its current pace, the elections may have to be postponed for at least 6 months. And meanwhile, Sri Lanka's National Constructions Association says the cement price hike is a mafia created by the cement importers. Chairman of the association, Susantha Liyanarachi, while speaking at a media briefing, said that reducing the price of a cement bag by 225 rupees is evident of the ongoing mafia by the local cement companies. Susantha Liyanarachi said that both the consumers as well as the construction business were severely pressured due to the price hike of the cement in the recent past. He said that the local cement importers claimed that high taxation, rupees depreciation and the dollar rate contributed to the price hike. However, he pointed out that the same companies have now reduced the rates from 3,200 rupees to 2,750 rupees. He said that the cement importers are the ones who set the market price for the product. He then inquired over the price reduction amidst the prevailing high taxation and dollar rates.
750 දක්වා අඩු වෙලා තියෙන අද වෙනකොට මෙන්න මේ ආනයනකරුවෝ තමයි මේ සිමෙන්ති මිල නියම කරන්නේ බයින් ඇන්ඩ් සෙලින් බිස්නස් එකක් තමයි ලංකාවේ මේ ආනයනකරුවන් කරේ ඩොලර් තියෙන හැම කෙනාම සිමෙන්ති ගන්න පටන් ගත්තා අද මං අහනවා මේ සිමෙන්ති මිල අඩු වෙන්නේ රුපියල සම වෙලාද ඩොලර් එක අඩු වෙලාද ටැක්ස් එක අඩු වෙලාද සමාජ ආරක්ෂණ බද්ද ඔබට නැද්ද ඍජු බද්දක් තියෙනවා ගහලා 118 සිට 36 දක්වා ඒක ඔබට නැද්ද සෙක්ස් බද්ද නැද්ද ඉම්පෝට් ටැක්ස් එක නැද්ද මෙන්න මේවා තියෙද්දි තමයි දැන් සිමෙන්ති මිල අඩු වෙන්නේ දැන් ආනයනකරුවන් සිමෙන්ති මිල අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ.
Meanwhile, Egg Producers Association informed the Court of Appeal today that they are unable to agree with the newly revised rates for eggs presented by the Consumer Affairs Authority. The case was taken up before the judge panel comprised of Justice Prashanta De Silva and Kema Sevaranadipati. Attorneys representing Consumer Affairs Authority informed that the authority has set a maximum retail price of 42 rupees for a white egg and 44 rupees for a brown egg. President's Counsel Quer Disoisa, representing the Egg Producers Association, informed the courts that the association is not in agreement with the authority over the prices. The petition will be taken up for hearing on February 6. The Court of Appeal then ordered to temporarily suspend the gazette issued citing a controlled price for eggs by the Consumer Affairs Authority on August 19th until the conclusion of the hearing. Podujana Progressive Employees Union of the Electricity Board has pointed out that the restructuring of the Electricity Board is not similar to selling state assets.
Moving on, President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes that public officials should never give reasons for failure to perform public duties.
The President made these remarks while participating in the District Development Committee meeting held at the Badulla District Secretariat this morning. President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized that it is the responsibility of the public officials to provide maximum public service without conflict between public institutions. During the meeting in Badulla, the President emphasized that the government officials should use the law as a shield to serve the people and not the companies.
ගැසකන්න තියෙනවා 383ක් ලොට් වගේක් හදලා තියෙන්නේ 15ක් වගේ තියෙනවා ඉෂුස් තියෙනවා අපි නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට අපි
කියන්නේ කොටස් 15යි
කොටස් 15කට
අනික් වේ ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ
අනිත් ඒවා ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ
ඒ ඔක්කොම ගැසට් කරන්න
ඔව් ඒ ටිකට එතකොට සර් මේ දැන්
මේ 15 නිසා අනික් අය ගැසට් නොකර ඉන්න එපා ලොට් කීයක් තියෙනවද
383ක් තියෙනවා මේ ප්‍රොසෙස් එකේ කරන්න
15ක් අඩු කරලා ඉතුරු ටික ගැසට් කරන්න ඒක කරන්නේ නැත්තේ
නේ ඔක්කොම ටික එකට කරන්න කියලා තමයි අපි තියන්නේ
හරිද ඔක්කොම එකට කරන්න බැයි නම් විගහට කරන්න ආණ්ඩුව මෙහෙම වැඩ කරන්න එපා.
In the plantation field, some officials used the law as a shield. He said that they paid attention to this when preparing this act in the 80s. Before removing the pine trees, it is necessary to scientifically investigate if they would have an impact on the catchment areas, he added. During the meeting, educational issues were also discussed and the shortage of teachers was highlighted.
මෙතන දැන් ඊට පස්සේ මේක හිටවන්නේ ටර්පන්ටයින් කියන්නේ තවත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නිසා මේක නවත්තිය යුතුයි ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමනි.
තියෙන වනවගා ප්‍රමාණය අපි කල්පනා කරන සැලසුමක් අනුව තමයි අපි ඉවත් කරමින් යන්නේ.
තේ හදන්නේ නැහැ දැන් ටර්පන්ටයින් හදා. මේගොල්ලෝ ටර්පන්ටයින් හදන්නේ සර් දැන් ස්ටෝර් වල දලු මේවා කරන්න මේගොල්ලෝ වත්තෙම ලී කපා ගන්න යන්නේ. ටර්පන්ටයින් ඉක්මනට වෙනවා ඉක්මනට කපනවා.
ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමනි ඔව් අපි කල්පනා කරන සැලසුම වලින් ක්‍රමක්‍රමයෙන් ඉවත් කරමින් අර මිශ්‍රව තමයි අපි මින් ඉදිරියට කරන්නේ.
ඉවත් කරන්න ටර්පන්ටයින් නවත්තන්න කිව්වනේ.
ඔව්.
පෝස් දෙල්ලා මේ වගේ පළතුරු වර්ග තමයි වැඩිපුර අපි කියලා තියෙන්නේ වගා කරන්න කියලා.
පරිේශන වාර්තා ගන්න මේ ගැන ටර්පන්ටයින් ගැන පයිනස් ගැන හැම එකක් ගැන වර ගන්න. අන්න අලුතෙන් පටන් ගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා විද්‍යාත්මක වාර්තාවක් තියෙනවා.
The President said that the Ministry of Education and the Provincial Council should discuss and take a decision not to transfer teachers until 5 years after their appointment. For the promotion of the health sector in the Badulla district, the necessary facilities will be provided to upgrade the Mahiyangani Regional Hospital into a district hospital. The President said that the government is working to allocate money for the expenses of the kidney hospital in Girandurukote. Issues pertaining to the Bandarwala Hospital, Badulla General Hospital and the Diatalava Base Hospital were also discussed during the meeting. The President also said that the government has taken measures to establish an emergency treatment unit for tourists at the Badulla General Hospital. Public representatives and state officials were present at this discussion.
A new gazette has been issued revising the retirement age of doctors. The relevant communique was issued by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena in his capacity as the Minister of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Council and Local Government. The new gazette notification has been published with provisions amending the retirement age of consultant doctors, government medical officers, dental surgeons and registered medical officers of the government. Medical officers who have already completed the age of 63 years have to retire before December 31st this year. Medical officers who have completed the age of 62 years have to retire following the completion of 63 years of age. Medical officers who have completed the age of 61 years have to retire following the completion of 62 years of age. Medical officers who have completed the age of 60 years have to retire following the completion of 61 years of age. Medical officers who have completed the age of 59 years have to retire following the completion of 60 years of age. However, the Gazette has indicated that the medical officers whose birthdays falling within the period from January 1st to June 30th have to be extended with the opportunity to serve up to June 30th of the relevant year prior to retirement. The Gazette has also indicated the medical officers with birthdays falling between July 1st to December 31st have to be extended with the opportunity to serve up to December 31st of the relevant year prior to retirement. Accordingly, the relevant interim provisions will be in effect until December 31st, 2023. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal has issued an interim order suspending the decision to enforce the compulsory retirement age of 60 on doctors and specialist doctors until January 25, 2023.
Meanwhile, Commissioner General of Examinations LMT Dharmasena says arrangements are being made to conduct the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination on the 18th of this month. In an interview with Rupavahini, he pointed out that several important matters related to students and their parents. The Commissioner General said that the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination will be commenced at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday on the 18th of December. The examination will be conducted at 12:15 noon. 334,694 candidates will sit for the exam and 2,894 examination centres will be operated throughout the island. The Commissioner General LMT Dharmasena requested the parents to bring their children to the examination centres at least 45 minutes before the commencement of the examination. As examination is scheduled to commence at 9:30 a.m., he requests parents to hand over their children to exam centers staff by 8:45 a.m. He requested the general public to refrain from activities that disturb the examination process on Sunday morning. GCE Advanced Level examination will be held from 23rd January to the 17th February next year.
Moving on, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says state institutions and financial regulations which impact the productivity should change based on the timely requirements.
The Prime Minister made these remarks during a ceremony held at the Temple Trees. The National Productivity Awards was held today with the participation of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The ceremony was organized by the National Productivity Secretariat. This year's edition of the ceremony extended 269 awards to state, services, manufacturing and school sectors, commending the productivity achieved in the year 2020. The Sri Lanka Air Force was awarded the Gold Award under the Inter-Department category of the state sector.
ලංකාවේ කොරියාවේ වැඩියෙන් මේවල තියෙන 7000 ගානයි. එක අවුරුද්දකට.
And meanwhile, Minister Susil Prebajan says that the government will initiate education reforms within the next 5 years.
He made his remarks while addressing a press briefing held at the ministry this morning. The minister said that under the proposed reforms, the secondary level education and higher education will be combined with technological knowledge. He further said that those three streams will be initiated within next 5 years. Quality of education will be the topmost priority of the proposed reforms. At the same time, university education will be diverted towards more innovative and research-based sector. He further said that practical technology education will be conducted targeting 526 schools from next year. At the same time, selected students will be offered day meal from next year.
And now let's take a look at several local news items in brief. The foreign travel ban imposed against State Minister Diana Gamage has been lifted for a period of 5 days. The Colombo Chief Magistrates Court issued today the relevant order to the Immigration and Immigration Controller today. The court issued the order after considering the request made by President's Counsel Sarat Jaman, who represented the State Minister, citing that his client has to travel abroad for 3 days. The case will be taken up for consideration on the January 5th. The Joint Association of Leasing and Debt Installment Payers engaged in a demonstration in front of the police headquarters today. They engaged in the protest action demanding the prevention of forcible seizing of vehicles which have lapsed installment payments. The association said that the police agreed to their demands following a meeting held with the DIGs. 150,000 US dollars worth medicinal drugs consignment was handed over to Minister Kehalia Rambukpala today by UNICEF and Rotary International. Medicinal drugs worth 3.5 billion rupees are expected to arrive in the country under several phases. And that's it for local news. Stay tuned with international news after this break.
Kutumi, Fantamai.
Welcome back with your international stories, and moving to Africa, the US President Joe Biden has announced billions of dollars in support and investments for Africa at a summit with the continent's heads of the state. President Biden told the 49 African leaders attending the Washington, D.C. meeting that the United States is all on Africa's future. It is the first gathering hosted by Washington for 8 years. The summit is seen as a U.S. attempt to reassert the influence on Africa to counter Chinese involvement. It also comes after Donald Trump's 4-year tenure in office. During his early nation, numerous African leaders with policy decisions and insulting comments. President Joe Biden said that the crises faced with the world today need an African leadership, ideas and innovations. elections and promised to build on the vital investments in Africa made by the previous US administrations.
Moving on to more foreign news, a rescue operation in the English Channel for up to 4 more people missing at sea is continuing. Yesterday, a packed migrant boat started sinking in freezing waters between Kent and France. Crews on a nearby fishing boat and lifeboat rescued 39 people, but 4 people were confirmed dead. The latest search will be carried out by drones, and in a joint statement, the UK and France pledged to destroy the business model of people smuggling gangs. Home Secretary Suella Braverman and her counterpart Gerald Darmanin said the tragedy highlighted the need to jointly prevent the crossings. The Maritime and the Coast Guard agency said some searches had taken place overnight, with vessels in the area asked to post lookouts and report sightings to the Dover Coast Guard.
And meanwhile, the World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that yesterday is a hopeful day that the COVID-19 pandemic will no longer be considered as a global emergency to the sun next year. His comments a briefing with the media as China dismantles its rigid zero-COVID policy and allows people to live with the virus, striding concerns the world's #2 economy faces a surge in infections. A WHO body meets every few months to decide whether the new COVID virus, which emerged 3 years ago in China's Wuhan, has killed more than 6.6 million people, still represent a public health emergency of international concern. The designation is intended to trigger a coordinated international response and could unlock findings to collaborate on sharing vaccines and treatments.
According to the latest figures by the Ghana Statistical Service, Ghana's annual inflation rate increased to 50.3% in November, up from 40.4% in the previous month. This is the highest inflation recorded in more than 2 decades. It is attributed to a sharp rise in the cost of housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels, which recorded an inflation rate of 79%. On Tuesday, Ghana reached an initial agreement with the IMF for a $3 billion bailout subject to approval by the Funds Board if the country meets all the requirements. The deal is expected to help restore Ghana's economic stability and ensure debt sustainability. However, the government has to restructure the country's debt to sustainable levels to qualify for the loan.
Prima Katami Fantamai.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charika, signing off with Keisha. Stay safe.